Alright, the final part that we're going to be drawing here in Inventor is the jar. And this one is multi-step. You learn some new features, including fillet, shell, thread, and how to change the physical property of the material of the jar to glass or something clear. So we're going to start again with a new part, and then start 2D sketch, XY plane. Now for this I'm going to use the line tool. I'm going to click on line, and right from the origin I'm going to draw a vertical line. Notice it says 90 degrees for the angle. This is going to be 6 inches tall. I'm going to type 6, hit enter. Now if I move my mouse, I'm still attached to the line tool, so if I keep clicking on the screen, it's going to make lines randomly where I don't want them. So I'm going to go over to the magnifying glass and zoom out, and now I want to draw a line across the top, perfectly horizontal. So again, you see it's 90 degrees to that line, and this is going to be 2 inches. So I'm going to type in 2, enter. Now I want to go straight down. Again, take a look at the 90 degrees there. If you're over like this, make sure you get it straight. This is going to be a 5-inch line going down. Enter. Now I don't want to be attached to the line tool anymore because I need to start back at the origin. So I'm going to hit escape on the keyboard, go back up to the line tool, and then from the origin I'm going to click, drag it out to the right. This distance is 1.375. Enter. And then I'm going to draw a line straight up, 0.625. And then all I have to do is connect there to there, and then hit escape to get off a line. So that represents half of the jar. So we're going to end up revolving this, and you'll see what that is in a second here, around this axis. Alright, so that's basically represents the center of the jar. So I'm going to finish sketch, zoom back out. Now up here next to extrude, which is what you've been using, is revolve. And if I highlight my mouse there over that, you kind of see they drew part of that and then revolved it around so that it created kind of that shape there with that round ball on the end of it. So I'm going to click on revolve. This should highlight bluish. If it doesn't highlight blue, you got to click on this profile button, and you may have to select it with your mouse if it doesn't become blue. The next step is to click on this axis arrow here, the red one, and it wants to know what axis we want to swing that around, revolve it around. So if I click on this 6-inch line, you see now what it does. It revolves that around 360 degrees. Now if we only wanted to revolve it half of the distance, we could do that over here, but we want it to go the full distance, so we're just going to say OK, and then I'm going to zoom out. The next step is to put some fillets on the top here, this big circle, the bottom big circle, and then this smaller circle on the bottom here, but not the very bottom of the jar. So up here at the top is fillet. The radius for this is 0.375, which is 3/8 of an inch. And then I just want to select them. So I want the top, I want that big circle on the bottom, and then that one, and then I'm going to hit apply, and then we can close this. So you see now the jar, it's a little more rounded there. So if I go over here and I rotate, you can kind of see it's rounded. It's not quite as squared off as it was when we drew it. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to shell this jar. Basically, shell just means I'm going to leave a wall thickness, and the inside of it's going to be hollowed out like an actual jar would be. So I'm going to click on the front of my cube over here and then rotate to the bottom. So I click on this little up arrow. So I'm going to go to shell right underneath chamfer. The thickness is 0.125. Make sure you do 0.125. If you don't, let me show you that again just in case you didn't see it. If I type in 125, notice over here, error message. It's because 125 inches is way too big. It won't allow you to do it. So make sure it's 0.125, which is an eighth. And then I want to click on this bottom circle. Do not click on the main jar. If you do that, it basically will disappear, and the only thing left will be a flat little disc for the bottom. So I want that, and then hit OK. So now if I use the orbit tool, you can kind of see inside there, it's hollow now. It just left an eighth of an inch of material all the way around the entire thing, the bottom, the sides. So now it's looking more like a jar. So I'm going to go back to the home view, and now I'm going to attach some threads because it has to thread into the top metal ring of the canning jar. So at the top here, there's thread. I'm going to click on that. It does take a little while for it to open sometimes. So we'll just let that load. Alright, now once this opens, you'll notice that right here, this thread length, full length, is checked. If that stays checked, if I bring my mouse over here, you see what it does. It'll put a thread on the entire jar, kind of makes it look funky. So we need to uncheck that, and the length of the threads are going to be 0.5 for a half an inch. And then I have to click on this face button to tell it what face to select. I want the very bottom here. Do not click on anything else. I just want that part, apply, and then I can close. So now I've got some threads on there. The last step is to make this look clear. So I'm going to left click on the jar so that it highlights a blue color. And then up at the top, I'm going to click on the Tools tab and then Material. Now, the two that I suggest, if you scroll down, they're alphabetical order. There's glass, and if I move this out of the way, you kind of see glass, so you can see it's clear. If you want to put the glass material onto your canning jar, you're going to click on this up arrow, add material to document. So you can use glass, or another one that I like is down here, polycarbonate clear. And that's the one I'm going to use. Now this is plastic, clear plastic, but it really doesn't matter. You can have a plastic jar if you want, but I'm going to click on that up arrow, and then I'm going to close this box. So now you see it's clear, or you can kind of see through it. It's not perfectly clear, because if it was, then you wouldn't be able to see it at all. But you can kind of tell that it's clear there now. It looks more like a jar. So I'm just going to go back to my home view, and then I'm going to go hit escape, and then file, save as, make sure you're in your H drive again, and I'm going to save this as jar, and then save. So that is the end of all the parts for the candy dispenser. The next steps will be to assemble them. So that'll be your next videos to watch.